everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's video, I'm going to be drafting this outfit that Chioma wore for a pre-wedding shoot. So this is a gown and an underbust corset. Now, if you're interested in achieving this type of underbust corset exactly, you can use a corset mesh or a skin mesh to make the underbust corset that's going to be plain. Then you now embellish it with something that they call plastic petals. These are being sold at an applique shop, so you tell them, you can even just take the sample and show it to them. They are going to give you this. I saw it recently as an applique shop, this exact color, and I know that one can achieve this exact outfit. I like the fact that it's giving it this dazzling feeling, and it's making it look very unique, unlike other underbust corsets that we have seen. So for our half length, which is the upper part of the gown, the half length I'm using here is 15.5 inches. Go ahead to use my marker to draw the line. Then next, for our horizontal lines, I have 8 inches for our chest line, and then 10 inches for the nipple point or bust point, then 12.5 inches for the underbust. Go ahead and draw our lines. Next, I'll take my shoulder. My shoulder is 7 inches, so I'll mark that on the shoulder and also on the chest line, and draw this straight line just like this. So let's go ahead to label chest line, our bust point, underbust, and then our waistline, which is also our half length. So next, let's measure our bust point. Our nipple point is 7.5 inches, so I'm taking 7.25 inch. I will connect it just like this. So at the underbust area, I'm taking 1 inches at the left side, and then 1.5 inches at my right side. So I'm doing that on both the underbust and the waistline. So you just go ahead and connect it like this. At our bust point, I'm going to go down by 0.25 inch just like this, and then I'll connect it together to what we have. So it's going to form our dart. Next, to form my shoulder slope, I'm going to measure 3 inches for my neckline. Then I'll go down by 1 inches at the arm and then connect it just like this. Now, if you have not watched my video on how to craft a Queen Anne neck, please go and watch it, okay? So I mentioned that for a Queen Anne, we need to determine 2 lines. So here I'm using 3.75 and 5.5 inches for my line. So just go ahead to draw it. Watch as I'm doing it, okay? So at this point, I went out by ½ inch or 7.5 inch, okay, to form that Queen Anne curve. This is going to make it to come out right. You can use a straight line if you want to, but I wanted a little bit of curviness, so I'm using it just like this. So this is what we have. We have our Queen Anne neck. The neck was not so deep, so that's why I made use of 5.5 inches. So next, to form our armhole, I'm going to get my midpoint, then I'll go in by ½ inch, and then we just connect it together like this to form our armhole. Still at the midpoint of my armhole, I'll be going down by 1 inches, and at my bust point, I'll be going up by 0.25 inches and connect it together to the armhole to form our armhole dart. So at the arm here, I'm dividing 1 inch at both sides. I went up by 0.25 inches, and then for the down part, I went down by 0.75 inches. So I just divided 1 inch just like this for it. So I will just connect it this way, okay? You can decide to use ½ inch for both sides, but I like to use it unequal like this. But at the end of the day, make sure that you have 1 inches that allowance or that gap there. So yeah, I extended my line by 1.5 inches and I just marked it just like this. And then next I'm going to go on to measure my bust. Okay, you take your bust measurement, and then for our waist measurement we are going to add 2.5 inches. That is for our dart allowance. In this pattern I'm not adding my sewing allowance, I'm only adding my dart allowance. Okay, so for my waist and under bust is 30, so I'm using 7.5 inches plus 2.5 inches. So that is what we have. I'll just go ahead to connect it to my armhole just like this. So next, for our side dart, there are two methods I'm going to teach you here. You can decide to do the first one, or this is the first one. Okay, you connect it to your nipple point just like this. You go down by 1 inch, connect it to your nipple point, or at your waistline you can also go up by 1 inches and connect it just like this. So whatever one that you want, it's still going to be the same thing. I mean, you're going to still achieve the same thing. So these are the two methods. If you are using a free hand, I like doing this going up by 1/2 inch on my waistline, especially when I'm using a fabric. So it's just simple and easy. But when you're using a pattern, you can decide to do the side darts at the breast point. So that's it for that. Now our gown length is actually 56 inches and our half length is 15.5 inches. Now when you subtract 15.5 inches from 56, you're going to have 40.5 inches. So that means the down part is going to be 40.5 inches. Let's go to the back of the dress. So for the back, I just measured 1.5 inches for our zip allowance. So, and then afterwards I measured 7 inches for my shoulder. So I'll go ahead to measure my horizontal line, that's my chest line, and then my half length. Then I'm going to mark a straight line for my zip allowance. So we'll be measuring from the zip allowance. Okay, so I just write it zip allowance. So I'll measure 7 inches and then mark a straight line for our armhole. Next to my shoulder, just like the front, 3 inches for my neckline, and then I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Afterwards I'll just connect everything together. Also for the armhole, the same thing, just like the back, we went in by 1/2 inch. So you just do the same thing for the back, like what you did at the front, you do the same thing at the back. I'll measure my bust point. Okay, I mean my bust, and then I'll measure my waist, and this is what we have. Afterwards we are going to take our darts. Using 3.1.5 inches, I went up by 5.5 inches, and then we'll divide half inch on both sides and then just connect it together. So that's it for the back. So I'll just go ahead to cut, and this is what we have. Okay, so next let's move to my skirt. I've drawn a straight line for the starting point. Now because of my pattern, I'll not be using 40 inches, so I'll be making use of what's on this pattern just for illustration. When you are sewing or when you are cutting yours, you use the exact measurement, but for this pattern I'll just be using this for an illustration. So I'll just go ahead to mark my nail point. That's what is important for the down part. So for my nail point here, I marked 30 inches. That is after subtracting 15.5 inches at the upper part. You can see how I placed my table. I didn't start from 1, I started from 15.5 inches. Okay, this is going to make you to get the remaining part of the down part for your gown length. So next I'll go ahead to mark my hip line. So I went down by 7.5 inches. You can decide to go by 8 inches depending on the size of the person you're making the outfit for. So for my waist is 7.5 inches plus 1 inches for my dart. I marked 8.5 inches. For my hip is 9.5 inches. and then I'll be marking that exactly. Then for my nail line, I'll be marking what I marked at my dart, or I'll be marking what I have at my waist. This is going to make it to be pencil, so I'll just go ahead to connect the lines together, and I'll make the straight line for the bottom part first. Then you see what I'll do next. Just watch. Okay, here's the straight line. Now from this straight line, I'll be marking 7 inches. This is going to form our mermaid gown. Just connect it like this. I'll use my marker to make it bolder so that you can see. Now at the down part, I went up by 1 inches to form that covenant. Okay, so we just make it like this. I mean, you connect it just like this. All right, so this is what it's like. At our waistline, I'm going to go down by ½ an inch to form this slant. Okay, this is very important for your gown to come out perfectly. Now for the back, what we do next is we place our front on a fresh pattern paper and then extend our lines. Okay, I'll extend my hip line, the starting point, just like this, and then be able to cut the side of our back. Now the difference is that for the back, the hip line, I'll need to go up by 1 inch. So you're going to go up by 1 inch to form your new nail line. Okay, I'll not be making use of what I have at the back. I'll just go ahead to label it just like this. So next, I'm going to measure my zip allowance for the back. I'm using 1½ inches for zip allowance. You can decide to use 2 inches if you want to. Now to form my hip contour, I'll be going in by 1 inch at the nail lines, just like this. Okay, and then we connect it together to have this hip contour and make your gown to come out very, very nice. So I'll just go ahead to cut to the side of the back using the same pattern of the front. So that's it for the side. Now to the back, to form our tail, I'm going to be going in by 10 inches on my nail length. So just connect it straight down just like this. Okay, now at that 10 inches, I will now connect it down to the down part. Just watch as I'm doing it. So that's it for our tail. Next, I'm going to connect my dart. I'm going to mark my dart. So we'll be going in by 1 inch, ½ inches on both sides, and I went down by 4 inches. So that is it for our dart. Now we have the down part of our gown. Next, we'll move to our underbust. Like I said earlier at the beginning of this video, you can see closely that this outfit or this underbust was actually embellished with these pearls, these plastic pearls. So you can get it in an applique shop. You just make your basic underbust using a fabric of your choice, either duchet or crepe, whatever it is you want to use, and then you just embellish it with the plastic pearls. So let's draft our pattern. My blouse length is actually 23 inches, so I'll just mark that for that. Then next, I'll mark my chest line 8 inches. We mark our bust point, nipple point 10 inches. My underbust 10½ inches. 12½ inches for the underbust, and then my waistline 15½ inches. So we just mark our line straight down just like this. So I'll just go ahead to mark my shoulder line 7 inches on both sides, and then make a straight line just like this. Then on my nipple point I'll mark 7¼ inch. Then at my blouse length I'm going to mark 1½ inches. So I'll just connect it together to my nipple point with a straight line, just like this. This is how we are going to mark our dart. It's not going to be a straight line, it's going to be slanted like this. So next I'll just take my body measurement, my bust to my waist, and then my hip, and then we just connect it together just like this. At my dart line I'm going to go in by 1 inches on both sides for the underbust and also for the half length, but at my blouse length I will go in by ½ inch on both sides. So we just go ahead and connect it just like this. At my half length, I'll divide what I have by 2 to mark my new dart line. So I have 1¼ inch. I'll just mark a straight line just like this, and then on both sides I'm going to take ½ inch on both sides and connect it down to the bust line, to the hip line, and also to the nipple line. Now for our waist snatching, I want to reduce our waist by 3 inches, and then here for my dart we've taken out 3 inches already, as you can see, so we will not need to add any allowance to what I have initially marked for my waistline. But I'm going to be adding 2 inches at my underbust because we are not snatching the underbust actually, and also at our hip line to form our conical underbust. Okay, we are going to go in by 3 inches. If you want me to make a tutorial of this conical underbust, please let me know in the comment section. So I'll just connect everything like this, and at the curve we don't want to be too pointed, so I'll just make some curves on it just like this, and then I'm going to clean the former line so that we will not be confused. So this is going to be our new line. I also went up by 1 inches on our underbust, and then on the center front of the underbust I'm also going to be going up by 1 inches, and I'll go in also by ½ inch like this, just to form our curve at the underbust area. So next I'm going to cut the dart of the center front, okay, because you can see the underbust has this kind of shape at the back. Now at the down part, now to get that I will need to cut the dart off so that we can shape the down part of the dress. So I went up by 2 inches like this to form the shape, and then we just connect it this way, to form the shape of the down part. So this is how it can be drafted. Very importantly, try to label all parts. So we have the center front, our middle front, and also the side front. So here is our beautiful conical underbust corset. Now for the back part, I'll be starting from our nipple point because our arm is not actually necessary for this underbust corset. So I just have my nipple point, my underbust, my half length, which is also my waistline, and then the blouse length. So at my nipple point I marked my bust measurement, and then I'll be marking my waist measurement too, just to have our body measurement marked down. So on the underbust line, just like we did in the front part, I'll go up by 1 inch, and at the center part, at the down part, I'll go in by ½ inch, and then 1 inch at the upper part. Then we'll form our eaglet line. Okay, if you're using a zip, fine, but using this corset, eaglet or loop is actually going to be better for the snatching. So after doing that, we are going to measure what we have left at the waistline and then divide it by 3 to form our dart line. So I have 5½ inches here, and then I'll divide it by 3, so I'm having something like 1 inches and 1.75 inches. Okay, so I'll just mark a straight line to connect it down just like this. So because I've snatched the front by 3 inches already, I'll be dividing ½ inch in between the two darts. So I'll just connect it down just like this. Now to our blouse length, I'm going to go in by 3 inches to form our conical curve and connect it just like this. For the down part, I'll go up also by 2 inches and then we connect it just like this. So for the up part, we're also going to make this shape like this, and then we're going to go ahead to label our pattern. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video.